Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 178. This show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we return for the first episode of 2019 and recap our thoughts on the Dawning Live event, discuss the Black Armory Forges and our favorite new weapons, and talk about how lore enriches the player experience. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT, and of course, CyborgSasquatch. What is up, dude?
Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Guardian. We're back.
It's good to be back.
It is. It's been 2 weeks since we've sat here and recorded together. It feels like it's been 2 days. We got to slow time down.
Back in the old routine again.
Yes, but glad to be back and in a new year and
2019.
Yeah, dude, 2019. Crazy.
How was your holiday?
It was great, man. All of it was great. You know, we were just talking before we went live. You know, it's nice at Christmas and the New Year have in my wife and I's fields, we have some time off. I take a couple vacation days also with that, and we just have some family time for a good 5 or so days, and it's great. It's a good time. It was fun as usual. How about you?
That's good. Yeah, I definitely got some time away. I pretty much shut everything down for a week between me and my wife's businesses and the podcasts and just everything, and just kept it. You know, everything was just quiet. No outside responsibilities. Just kept up with the kids. Played a lot of video games. Got quality time with the wife. It was really good. I haven't had that in a long time.
It's nice to do that every once in a while.
Yeah. I'm fortunate.
Cool.
Like, I recognize that it probably sounds really privileged, but I was able to do that. But I worked really hard this year. My wife did too. So I think we deserved a little bit of time off.
Yeah, man. Of course you deserve some break time with the family and fit in some hobbies and stuff like that. Shut off some of the responsibilities, the work ones, for a little while, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, dude, it's been fantastic. We hope you guys had some awesome holiday time and a new year. We're excited to get back going here on the show with some Destiny chatter. Yeah,
Destiny don't stop.
No, it doesn't, and it hasn't, man. Like, we don't have a lot of news in this episode for a change because Bungie is also taking a little well-deserved break from the news feeds, but we have plenty to talk about in our resets, I think.
Absolutely.
Been playing tons of Destiny.
Yep. But first off, a couple announcements. Start the year off right. We promised we had a couple of giveaways before the year ended, and we did have some winners that we have to announce. So we did 2 different contests. Both of them were for a blue microphone product of your choice, as well as a $50 Amazon gift card. You could buy yourself something special.
Oh, yeah.
So who are our winners on Twitter and Discord?
On Twitter, drum roll, maybe not, Mr. Magic Beans.
Mr. Magic Beans. I don't know what that Twitter handle is. It's Oloilo or something.
Hey, we'll go with the actual profile name.
It's Mr. Magic Beans.
Never know what you're going to get with gamer tags and Twitter handles.
Yeah.
Well, congrats, Guardian. And like Cyborg mentioned, we had another in our DurFam Discord server. Congratulations to Mike Bones.
Mike Bones.
Mike
He's
Bones.
been around a while too.
Yes, he has. Congratulations, Guardians.
Yep.
Very cool.
Well, we have contacted you already at this point to claim your winnings, but we can't wait for you to get your swag. Be sure to take some pictures, share them on Discord and Twitter for us of whatever it is you choose from Blue Mike. And if you didn't win, stay tuned. We'll be doing more giveaways this month, as always.
Yes.
For our listeners and community.
We've been on the. I mean, we've always done giveaways, man. But we love doing giveaways, and yeah, they will be pretty frequent. And as you've heard, the community's been giving us things to give back to you guys, and we're still sitting on a few of those that we're just waiting for the right moment to give away. So, thank you, Derp fam, for being so kind.
Thank you. All right, man. That's all the announcements right now. How about some news? You ready?
I am ready. This is going to be weird this week. Where are we going to go with the news?
There's not much.
There's not. It's weird
this
because
is
even
the shortest news segment of the year.
Even on slow Destiny resets, they aren't slow anymore. There's always plenty to talk about.
Yeah. This reminds me of like post-Taken King era. We're like, no news this week.
Yeah. We talk about before going live, like, okay, what main topic do we want to have this week? Let's explore some other things. But that's this week, man.
The TWAB is on break, as they had previously announced, until this coming reset. So we'll get a new TWAB. That would be the 10th. We'll get another TWAB. But in the meantime, we did get a couple of player support reports. One on December 27th and another on January 3rd. Over on the December 27th report, a couple notable things they wanted to mention. Ace of Spades, they're investigating player reports indicating that Memento Mori is canceling early when reload is initiated, then interrupted by sprinting. I keep messing with this gun. It keeps getting messed up, man. Mm-hmm. And then there's some other strange stuff with the Braytech MK2 and Blast Furnace. They go through some different vital information and known issues for Season of the Forge, things we've talked about already. Go check out this if you're having any weird stuff going on in Destiny. And then the January 3rd player support report. Now that the Dawning has ended, unfortunately, goodbye Eva, hope she comes back.
Bye, Dawning.
Eva's Holiday Oven has been removed from your inventory. All ingredients for Dawning recipes were removed. Incomplete Dawning Cheer Sparrow upgrades have been removed from your inventory. And leftover essences of Dawnings as well were removed. Now, if you had any incomplete or unclaimed triumphs from the Dawning, they've expired and have been hidden in the triumph screen. You can no longer continue or claim those. Yeah. And if you dismantle any of the Dawning rewards, the Dawning Cheer Sparrow, the Affinities gift ship, and the holiday treats and delicious benefactor emblems, you can reclaim them from their respective collections. So beyond that, they talk about issues with forge keys not counting towards the mysterious box. So they're checking into that. If you're having a problem with that, keep an eye on the Bungie player support section, as well as some other things that we mentioned already with some guns and stuff. So,
my oven was masterworked and everything, man. Mm-hmm. Darn it, it's gone.
I know, we worked so hard on that stuff, especially that Sparrow, man. You got to do all that work to upgrade the Sparrow, and then the perks don't even work, and now the Dawnings.
I know, we talked about that last episode. I really hope they make it. I mean, it's one glimmer that it drops at a time.
Yeah, it's not like you can get a lot of glimmer.
You can't break the game. Like, I really feel like I hope they'll. I didn't see it in any of their feedback chains though, or like community bullet pointed lists of things they've noticed in conversations. It would be cool if they would just let that be active all the time. I was thinking, I know we've got some discourse specifically talking about the crafting that was in the Dawning, but I figured maybe kind of in the news here still we could talk about the Dawning overall, because we'll have plenty else to talk about in Reset. Yeah, the Dawning, 2018 Dawning, what'd you think?
I thought it was fun. So it was a little contrasting to our last event which was the, I always forget the name of the Halloween event.
Festival of the Lost.
There we go. Festival of the Lost. So they did a 180 on Festival of the Lost, and it went from a microtransaction focused event in Destiny 1 to something with some actual playable content. And I loved Festival of the Lost. The Endless Forest upgrade was amazing. Me and my friends were talking like just last week. We were like, I wish that was still around. Like we want to play some more.
Yeah.
And the Dawning in the past had some things that were different, like that kind of reached into gameplay. Like if you remember last year, they had the snowballs and the strikes and different things like that. And then prior to that, in Destiny 1, there were like the Nightfall oriented bounties and the different guns that you could get from Zavala. And I really enjoyed all that. The new, I guess, gameplay elements of the Dawning were really focused on like you earn certain stuff while you're just playing the game. So you're not doing anything totally different. Maybe sometimes if you needed a certain material, and then you go and do this fetch quest related stuff. Like it turned into more of a chore for me that I liked. And what I ended up doing was just waiting literally until the last day to just do it all at once. And that it wasn't really fun. Like it was more just work for me.
You're talking about the crafting in particular?
Yeah, crafting the cookies. I mean, it was a cool idea and it's a cool concept. Like I like the idea of doing some sort of crafting. And I did think it was cool that when you gave the cookies to the vendors that they could give you items back. And so there was the avalanche machine gun. That was great. I got a bunch of good rolls to choose from. Got a good one out of that. But most of it just turned into materials. You know, blue gear that I dismantled, faction tokens, got a ton of those, a lot of glimmer, stuff I really didn't need. I mean, maybe some players that don't play a lot could really use that stuff, but things I have hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of, I don't need more of that stuff, you know?
The cores were nice, definitely.
Yeah, I did get cores. I won't complain about that. I did get a bunch of cores, and that was nice. I don't know exactly how many, but I've got a good reserve now.
I don't. I've used them already again, but I had like, I'll talk about it more in a bit, but I had like 800 to 900 of the essence materials. And I mean, it's not a lot, I guess, if you consider how much that is, but I did end up with like 15 to 20 cores from it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was enough to do what I didn't think I'd be able to do, which was upgrade the Sparrow.
Yeah, and in the end, I did like that you got some powerful rewards from Eva for participating. Like you could, at 6 and 12 a week, like she would give you a couple powerful rewards. That was nice, especially if you're still on the power grind, like trying to get to 650. That can be a big help, you know, and an easy reward to get, right? Doesn't take a lot to craft like 6 or 12 cookies. So it was cool. Like it was nice. It wasn't, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like I liked that it didn't require too much from you to participate because there was Forge stuff going on, right? There was a new Forge that came out. There was all those bounties. There's that to keep up with. Iron Banner was live last week. So if you wanted to do all that stuff, if the Dawning had some kind of unique gameplay element like Festival of the Lost, it may have been too much. And so I don't want to over complain because I think the balance was thought through there and not trying to dump too much on the player at once. And so I think if they added some more layers to the system, in terms of like, I don't know what you could do with it or some more incentives, maybe even just some more gear, I don't know, like that you could earn from crafting the cookies may have made it more desirable, but I think it was cool. Like it was a cool event. I don't want to diss on it too much. I don't want to sound too negative.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm right there with you. I said with Festival of the Lost that I've gotten some feedback on since and stuff, and it's very similar to how I felt about the Dawning. Like I think these live events and we had talked about it. Like they really just need to complement the game we're already playing. They don't. It's a hard balance because if they just complement the game, then they're flirting with not being very much content for a live event. So I feel like what you're basically saying, Festival of the Lost felt like it complemented the game we were already playing very well. It had that one new event that we got to play for a little while and test out that got pretty good, pretty good response from the community. Of course, the Haunted Forest, which you had mentioned. And then, there were other elements, Mass to Chase, things like that. But it wasn't so much that you didn't feel like you couldn't continue the power grind that you were doing or just your normal Dreaming City stuff and whatever else. So I think the Dawning, I really think it hit that mark of like complementing the game we're already playing while feeling kind of fresh and there was an event and something new was going on. But I think it could have benefited a little bit more if it had something else that was unique to it. And like you said, I don't know that an event like or an activity like the Haunted Forest was it, because there was so much going on. Like it's still just with what it was and what else was going on for my play times and resets. Like I was like a week behind unlocking forges and stuff because I was doing other things. So if the Dawning would have had something else, it would have been even longer. So I don't know what it would
have done it. Right.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what it could have been, but I feel like, there could have been maybe one more element, like you said, to just make it even just a little bit more unique.
I think maybe just some gear, different gear.
Yeah.
May have
something,
something else you could have got for doing the cookies.
Yeah.
Even if it was cosmetic stuff, right? Like if the whole event was just totally cosmetic based, it would have been fine. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't just about the Dawning engrams. Right.
Yeah. What I did love though, dude, what I ended up loving, and I think I may have said on the last episode when we were talking about it, I'm like, dude, I really felt like there was hardly any way I was going to get that Sparrow upgraded. Because I was like, what was it, 120 baked cookies on that last tier? I'm like, no way. So I kind of just wrote it off. I got the Sparrow. I'm like, I'm content with that. I got the Holiday Sparrow. I'm done. And then I just played the game. And like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, before I knew it, I had like 800 to 900 of those mats. And then one night, like you said, a couple nights before the Dawning went away, I just went and baked a whole bunch of stuff in the tower. And boom, no joke, at the point that I did it, I had just enough. The very last one I did, I ran out of mats. I only had like 4 or 5 left. I unlocked the final tier of the Sparrow. So that was cool. Like that was a good balance. Obviously, there was thought put into that, and it was a good balance of how much you needed and how much you got playing the game. Now, I did love that about this event. I loved that I progressed still, because you didn't really do that in Festival. You had to go do Festival stuff to progress. So it was really cool that you progressed just playing the game like you normally would. But it is important also that you still feel like the newness of a live event. And it did have that to a certain extent. But like we mentioned, I think, like you said, gear or something else. But I think they could help that just a little bit by activating that Dawning Sparrow again. We could ride around for the rest of the year with our Dawning Sparrow shooting out glimmer, and Guardians are going to wonder, like, what do they have? What is that? They're giving me glimmer.
Yeah, and I couldn't understand why that Dawning Sparrow couldn't side boost. It's kind of weird.
Oh, yeah, I remember you mentioning that. Yeah. Overall, though, I'm very pleased with it. Overall, it was a good event. I love that they doubled down on our Eververse engrams. Love it, dude. I was just banking them. Like, I would fill up my entire inventory, and then they would go to the postmaster, and then I would just turn a whole bunch of them in, and I was getting good loot. I didn't spend a dime. And I love that aspect of it. There's a good balance there. It's nice that it's not insert name of event cost something, we had way back in the day.
Festival of the cost, right?
Yeah. So it's good, man. Like we've definitely progressed. We've definitely grown in these live events, and we'll see what we get next. I know what next is. It's not really. I don't know if you
Crimson
call it a live
Doubles
event.
Is
Crimson,
next.
yeah.
Crimson
so people
Days.
they're wondering because last time it was all PvP, right?
Yeah.
I've heard speculation. It's complete speculation, but it would be cool if there was something else, like we're talking about right now. If there was something else with that one, maybe than just the PvP element. But there may not be, and we'll just see when it comes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but overall, man, it's cool. We're interested to know what you guys thought too. You'll have to.
I think they've done a
let us
much
know.
better job the past two seasons with the events.
Mhm.
I think this one in Festival is a great improvement. So we can always ask for more, and we've seen so many different ways they've done it now. Like you kind of almost want a mashup of everything, but
Yeah.
at the same time they just put out the new annual pass content, and there's other stuff going on too. It's you can only have so much. You can always ask for more.
Oh yeah. And I was just thinking the haunted forest may get old if they did this, but they could have almost brought back the forest because it had such good reception and made it put a holiday spin on it, and like even some of the bosses like you just threw snowballs at or something. Just any.
Yeah.
The dawning's almost kind of like a fun event, right? It's just kind of a cheery fun. It's the holidays. You can get away, I feel like, with some stuff in the dawning maybe that you couldn't in other more serious, if you will, live events. So not to say Festival of the Lost is serious, but it's kind of like got that it's spooky Halloween undertone.
Yeah.
The knight that you can't kill in the haunted forest. It ended up
Love
just
that
being.
guy. I still want to kill him.
Anyways, yeah, well, cool, man. I was interested what you thought about the dawning.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all the news, man. There's not a whole lot else coming out of Old Bungo this week.
Giving them a break.
Yep. The only thing that I was like curious to see if it happened this week, and of course we're recording on a Thursday, the 3rd, so could still happen, but I almost was curious with the timing, like if this wouldn't be a great week for some secret to be unlocked, some kind of secret dungeon or something like the Whisper, right?
Something. And you're right. They did hint that they were going to continue that stuff way back. So it is interesting. This is probably since season 5 launched, this is the most time we've had between like a Forge dropping or something. Because, we've got to wait till next week for Niobe Labs to drop.
Yeah, we've got Niobe next week,
so
which is exciting in itself.
Oh, definitely. Especially, I'll get into it in Reset, but I've like been majorly diving into the Black Armory lore, so I'm like super ready for Niobe Labs and that stuff to drop, just to see what other little tidbits we get. I'm curious. We'll chat about that. I'm curious to see if you've been diving into the lore at all. But yeah. So it's I think you might be onto something. It would seem like maybe this weekend would be the weekend to do it, but we'll see. Pure speculation.
Only speculation. Well, I guess since that's all the news, man, how was your reset? What have you been playing?
Oh, wow, dude. It's been 2 weeks now, 2 resets. I could say that I played other games, but I didn't. I'm pretty sure I played nothing but Destiny in my gaming time that I got in. And dude, I've done a lot, man. I so much so when we have 2 weeks like this, I'm like, I got to just add it to the show notes as I do it, because I'm going to forget some of the things that happened if I don't, because at that point, you just complete so much in the game right now. So first thing, actually, I was going to say this first, but I'm going to say this other one. Wayfarer complete, dude.
Yeah.
Man, I blasted that on Twitter. I was running the blind well. We had done research on that emblem we talked about last week, 2 weeks ago. You get guaranteed if you complete all the time trials in the Ascendant realms, the challenges, and I've 0 of 6 on that. Maybe 1 of 6 now. So I was like, I'm looking at 6 weeks out if I don't get this thing to drop for me in the blind well. So dude, I just did my thing, did some stuff every night, and then I'd go do some passes on the blind well. You know how you get that feeling sometimes when you're playing too? I remember I'd already did a couple passes, went and did something else, and then I went back to the blind well. I'm walking in, there's already people there. And I think that run or the next one, I was like, I feel like I'm gonna get it. I feel like I'm gonna get it on this one. And I, sure enough, dude, like opened that chest, and I knew it. Like I knew I wouldn't have to think about it much because all this stuff was gonna pop up on my screen. And sure enough, man, boom! There's the secret victories emblem. There's the destination badge complete. There's the
just boom, boom.
It all happened, dude. Yeah, and I did have to like go into my menu and like, because I don't have any other titles, so I didn't really know what I needed to do. I go in, and you activate the title.
Yeah, you gotta select it and stuff.
Yeah, and then you equip it. Yeah, dude, it felt so good. Like I gotta say, man, like it definitely in the top 5. The things they've added in Forsaken, like this game is in an unreal place. We're having so much fun right now. But I gotta say, dude, like the titles,
earning the titles feel awesome.
It's amazing, dude. Like they are easily one of my favorite additions to the game. They add such a hobbyist level, and even like Wayfarer, dude. There was so much. I mean, we're talking 3, 4, 5 weeks of dedication and planning and reset checking and seeing what I needed and what the nightfall was and what boss was dropping what at escalation protocol and this or that. And sure, there was some maybe rough RNG in there and this or that, but I did it. I had a plan. I knocked it out, and I got the title, dude. And I did almost all of it solo. There's no requirement to be in a fire team. Sure, some things maybe could have been easier, this or that, but I play a ton solo, and I still acquired it. And it feels awesome, dude, to run around. No, I did all that. Run around. Wayfarer was the one I chose. It's the one I felt was super prestigious, along with the other ones. It was just Wayfarer seemed cool to me. I have it now. I run around. The cool thing is the little subtle touch is that it's on your name everywhere you go. It's not just in your character
screen.
It.
Yeah, you see it awesome, just dude. Like when you're running around. And
yeah, it's cool, man. I love titles. I hope they stick around. I got to say, too, you had mentioned you saw somebody a couple weeks ago with Riven's Bane or whatever, which I think I have like 0 of any done on that. I was watching, I think I was watching Mylan's Black Armory, one of his lore videos just in the last week. And there was somebody in his fire team in his gameplay. I saw purple, and I like rewound the YouTube video a couple times to see. I'm like, which one is that? And it said Riven's Bane, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Fun to get.
Yeah, man, and that's what it does. That's why they're cool. You look at those Guardians and you're like, oh, they have a title. And even if it's like you don't know what they are, it piques your interest and you go look and you research. Yeah. Like I wonder how many Guardians are like they don't know what it is and they see it and then they figure it out and they look it up and then they're motivated and they start their own path in getting a title, They're just cool, man.
I feel like a lot of people have been getting into earning the titles in the past month or so.
We're kind of hitting that point, right?
Yeah. I mean, some people early on were really into it, and then some folks kind of caught that bug when they started seeing them and their friends are starting to get them. There's definitely a competitive edge aspect. Like I have friends who have some that I don't, and it really rubs me raw. Like,
yep.
Man. But they're fun. It's a fun hobbyist level. Like it adds an extra level, like an extra layer of things to do, things to chase that maybe on their own, like you wouldn't grind for, but because they're part of a bigger objective, you will,
Yeah. Yep. And it was like you said on the timing, as soon as I hit 650, not 650, as soon as I hit 600. I was like, just something clicked. I knew the titles were there. I knew it would be something I was interested in as soon as I hit max power, because that was my first motivation, that and some Crucible stuff. I was like, it's title time. Went and looked at them, did my thing. And I've already done since I've gotten Wayfarer. Like I've already went and looked at them again and decided like the next, like the top 3, what order I want to try and get, which one next,
Yeah.
They're cool, man. I like them. I like them a lot. They're neat. If you Guardians out there haven't gotten one, don't care. That's cool. If you're intimidated by them, just know like there's some that are easier to get than others. All of them are hard to get. But with some, planning and some dedication, you can get them, and a lot of them you can get solo. Wayfarer, you definitely can. It takes some LFGing and some strategy, but it's possible. You can do it, and it's cool.
Yeah, a lot of these, if you just dedicate a couple hours a week of your playtime towards some specific objectives, like you can knock them out in a month or two.
Yep.
If you're just doing it with purpose,
Yeah, it took me at least 4 to 5 weeks, and it's a lot of work, but it's cool. If you play Destiny and you enjoy it, there's a good chance you're gonna enjoy grinding for the title. I mean, I had fun doing it, so it was cool, man. Anyways, I won't take that long on all the rest of my things, but it's that I was excited about that. It's been a lot of Destiny the last couple weeks. I got Breakneck. That was another thing I had on my list to finish, running Insurmountable Skullfort and Code of the Missile, dude. I had, and then I was running Horror Story, so I had like those first 2 things done pretty quick. But the 40 games, there's no way around that. You got to play 40 games. So yeah, I did that thing, got Breakneck. It has become one of my favorite auto rifles. Definitely, I love the thing. It's awesome. It's definitely a part of one of my couple PvE loadouts. So very cool. I don't know what happened in the last 2 weeks, but my RNG has been unreal, dude. Like unreal. I got Ursa Furiosa, which I can't remember if I got that. Did I mention that last? I don't think I did. I got that. I got Wave Splitter. I got One-Eyed Mask. What else did I get? I think that might be the end of my exotics. I think I got Peacekeepers. That was the only dupe that I got from year 1. But on top of that, dude, running the forges, I got all the forges unlocked. I was kind of running a little bit behind on that. But no joke, my first, which one did my first Tatara Gaze, my first sniper rifle, snapshot kill clip. First
nice,
one.
Dude.
I don't even think I farmed it again. I couldn't believe it, man. Like being a PvP Guardian, I'm like, no way I just got this roll on this thing on my first drop. I was super pumped about that. And then I got the Striker Surehand, which we've all learned, the sword that you get. Is it Gofanon or is that Izunami?
The sword is Izunami, I think.
I think it's Izunami, yeah. Apparently, so I've watched a lot of stuff on this sword. First of all, it's like an unbelievable PvE sword. Do you have it, Cyborg? I'm sure you do at this point.
Yeah, I got the sword.
So it can roll with Surrounded,
yes.
Which is like, I guess a sword. I don't know for sure, but has a sword not been able to roll with that yet?
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
And
need to double check my roll, but I'm pretty sure that's what I got on mine.
Dude, so Surrounded's what you want because Surrounded, you gain bonus damage when 3 or more enemies are in close proximity. Most of the time we see Surrounded like on a pulse or something, you're like, what? I don't need that. Sword,
but
you
on
need
a sword,
that.
You're always in close proximity,
Yeah, dude. So I got, and it looks cool too. The sword looks awesome. But I got one with Surrounded and also an Impact Masterwork. I got Tireless Blade, which is like ammo granted on sword kill, so that's okay. But I got the Impact Masterwork, so the drop I got on that was pretty solid. I was pretty excited about that. The other thing that's going on with that sword, I don't know if you've seen it. It apparently you don't even need ammo for it. It's the game registers your hit when you don't have any ammo as a melee, and it's apparently is doing some crazy damage when stacked with like some exotic perks and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's a bug.
Oh, definitely a bug. They're definitely going to be fixing it.
But I did notice that because I was using it, I think in a forge after I got it, and I was like, I ran out, but I was still doing pretty good damage. And you can do that with any sword. Like you can still melee with a sword that has no ammo, but you're just doing the same amount of damage as a regular melee. But yeah, there's some kind of weird thing going on with it, and yeah,
there's something crazy going on with this sword. It's definitely a bug because they obviously want you to have power ammo to be doing maximum damage with what you're using, and you're doing maximum damage like by far with no ammo with this thing. There's all kinds of YouTube creators covering it right now, but even without that, the thing's a beast. It's being chased after by many a Guardian, so I couldn't believe I got that roll. surrounded right off the start with that one on my first drop. And then, dude, I unlocked Izunami, and it is Izunami, right? Is that right? I'm getting it confused.
Yeah.
Izunami, yeah. I'm getting it confused with the exotic sniper we haven't seen yet. Izunagi's bird.
Yeah.
So many things. So Blast Furnace, dude. I've only gotten one. One dropped. It dropped with Accurized, Zen Moment, and Rampage.
Nice.
I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, of course, there's a lot of people chasing that Feeding Frenzy kill clip roll, but Zen Moment and Rampage, dude, like, I normally don't want Rampage in PvP, but with a pulse rifle and shooting Guardians down lanes from a distance who possibly could be, I may be able to pick off a couple a little more often than if I was like using a hand cannon or something. Rampage, I'm totally cool with. So
and if you can get one of the mods, the Black Armory mods that extends the duration of Rampage, could be really good.
Which I have not gotten yet. I haven't gotten a Rampage, but doesn't it? I think it increases it like a second or something, which is huge, especially in PvP. A second is a long time. So I definitely gotta try to get one of those. So that was my first drop on it. I may go ahead and farm it a bit more just to see what else I can get with that pulse. But that pulse is all the rumblings right now too. It is unbelievable, that Blast Furnace.
Yeah, it's a great pulse. I got a terrible roll on my first one, and I know a lot of people have, they unlock the weapon, the legendary version, or the powerful versions, and then they'll go and grind the rolls out. I really haven't wanted to grind these for rolls every week.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of work.
Part of that
when you pick up a frame and then you have to go do a bunch of go for work and then go do the thing.
We need to
I'm
talk
like,
about that too,
man. But I totally get that a lot of people are into that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say there's a big Crucible element there.
Yeah,
right?
Especially the Crucible players who want those guns with those unique perk sets, and they feel really great. And so I understand that totally. I have enough awesome guns that I use in PvE that I don't feel the need to spend like 3 hours grinding a Blast Furnace, because there's so many other guns I can use.
Yeah, there are plenty of options. Yeah, but that's where I've been. Like I've definitely grinded. Like I grinded 4 or 5 times. The only thing that I haven't gotten a solid drop on yet is the hand cannon. That thing can drop with Kill Clip and Rampage together, which is unreal. But I've gotten like 4 poopy rolls on that thing. So that one hasn't dropped for me yet. But I have farmed it like 4 or 5 times. But you're exactly right. Like the reason I'm farming it is for PvP. There's definitely some value there for PvP players. Of course, you can get solid PvE rolls. But like you said, there's plenty of options.
I'm using a lot of these guns in PvE. Like the sniper Tataras, like I've been using for the raid and stuff. I've been using the hand cannon some. I got a good hand cannon. I really like the machine gun. I've got some great machine gun rolls and stuff. So they're all great. I think they're all great guns, especially with some of the perk combinations you can get. Like everything we've seen so far has been solid.
Yeah, they're cool. I love the way they look. I love the sights on them, man. Like, I'm having a good time.
The weapon and armor design is so cool.
I think a lot of it's the shader too, like the black and red just looks cool.
The shaders are awesome, dude. The black and red, they just look good on everything.
Yep, armor and everything. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Like the forges, I like them. I feel like there could be. We'll get into your reset, but we need to talk about the forges and the quests and like the overall design.
I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So before we do that, we'll talk about Black Armory lore a little bit too. But other than that, man, I already mentioned that I unlocked all my Sparrow stuff. We talked about the Dawning. I also got a PS4 Pro for my family for Christmas, so that's super cool. Very cool stuff. What did you do, man? We'll talk about that, and then we'll jump into this other stuff.
Yeah. What have I been up to? It's hard to remember what I talked about last time we recorded. We did. I think I mentioned that this happened last reset that we talked about, but we did get a completion on the new raid.
Very nice.
Completed.
You did it blind, right?
The big boss. Yeah, pretty much. Like we got all the way through to the boss, and we had it figured out. We knew what had to happen. We were struggling a little bit with positioning. in setting some of that up. So then we checked out Datto's run through, and he recommended a certain positioning for damage, and we tried that out, and like that was the key for us.
Nice.
So there's a certain area, like you call it map room, and that's where you ideally, like, you don't have to do it this way, but it's really effective to get everybody in there to do damage, because you don't want to get sniped by a bunch of vandals. And so it's tricky to do it that way, but it worked once we got that kind of sorted. Because it's a little, like, doing damage on this boss is a little bit chaotic, because there's these buffs that rotate and you have to like change your position throughout the DPS phase. It's a little crazy. So, but we finally got it. And first run, one of my buddies got the new grenade launcher. I think it's called Anarchy. And, I was excited for him. Nobody else has got it yet. I think
That's
I've done,
awesome.
I think I have 3 or 4 completions. All I've gotten is armor and 2 guns. And it's the same guy. I keep getting the fusion and the rocket. I did it this week. Literally every drop was armor for me. Drives me crazy.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So, because I have the full armor set, and I don't have any of the kinetic primary weapons, like nothing. I'm like, come on, man. My RNG, except for a couple cases, like I can't get anything I'm going for. Like I can't get anything that I want. I've got my buddies like. I'm trying to get the shader, no, not the shader, the ship and the sparrow for the Dreaming City. And so I keep running those missions on every character every week. I keep going into the Shattered Throne, and I go in and all my buddies get the stuff, and I just can't get it.
Man,
and I mean, I don't know how many times I've run all this stuff
Destiny
now.
in a nutshell, man.
Just won't drop, man. It's just killing me.
Every time we talk about stuff like this, I remember the same old story we always mention when I hunted for Fatebringer forever, and then like I took a friend. Everybody's had this happen to them. You take a friend in who's never ran the raid at all, and they get it on their first run.
Yeah, man. It's just the way of destiny, you know? Yep. It hurts. It hurts, but when I get it, it'll be amazing.
Excited. That's like that emblem, man. When that thing dropped, it was amazing.
Yeah. So I'm still trying to chase a lot of that stuff. Like I am a few items or triumphs away from 3 titles, like Cursebreaker, Riven's Bane, Dredgen. Like I'm right on the edge of all of those, but they're almost all totally controlled by RNG. The only thing I have left to do really is for Riven's Bane. Like there's like 2 triumphs that we need to go knock out that are going to take some work. But besides that, like I just need gear to drop.
Yeah.
And so I've been talking about this week after week, so I'm not going to harp on that anymore.
It's
just like, it's just so close, man. Like, driving
that
me
reminds
crazy.
me too, grinding so much Gambit to get Breakneck, dude. I ran into the meatball multiple times and beat him several times, and I soloed like all of my Gambit to get Breakneck, I believe all of it. And I ended up getting like the Sparrow. I didn't even realize there were 160 legendary Sparrows out there, dude. That Gambit Sparrow is 160.
Really, dude? That's all you want.
I know. I thought
150s are terrible.
Yeah. See, I thought only exotics were 160. No. I didn't realize there were legendary 160s out there, and this Gambit Sparrow is beautiful.
If you get the 160, if you get 150s to drop, if you dismantle them, you can pull them out of your collection until they come at 160.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah,
wow.
You can just keep pulling them out, and eventually you'll get one at 160.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah, man, the last full curse week, I guess 2 weeks ago, we were grinding Gambit out, and I think over that week I did somewhere between 15 to 20 matches, and we got the meatball once, and I was like, man, this is supposed to be an increase. And I mean, out of all those rounds, like it's like 40 rounds, and it came up one time, you know. And
That's
I just after all that, I was like, I can't spend like every single night doing this, because it was just getting like too disappointing.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I'll just wait till next one, just wait till the next one and try again. But
I feel you.
But I did have one great RNG drop in that my first Izanami Forge run, I got Limonarch. And so I was pretty excited
I'm
about
hunting
that.
it. I actually forgotten a couple times that it's a random drop in your Forge runs. And a Durfan member did confirm that they got it from Verlunder. So I guess apparently you can get it from any.
So I think the last episode we were talking about it, and I think the information we had was kind of incomplete at that point because Bungie did say in order to receive it, you do have to have a powerful frame in your inventory.
Yeah.
At that point, we thought, just based on anecdotal evidence, that it would just be a random drop for any Forge run. But you do have to have a powerful frame completed.
And it can be any Forge.
Yeah, right? And it can be any Forge, I'm pretty sure, as well.
Yeah.
So I got it on my first run.
That's
I
awesome,
had what was the first week? It was maybe the Pulse, or I don't remember what it was, but it dropped, and I was excited about that. It's Pulse, a fun gun. I am terrible with bows in PvP, so I tried it for a couple matches and had to put it away because I'm not good enough.
I can't wait to get it.
But in PvE, it's a lot of fun. Now, I have heard some stories that there's something funny going on with the perk at increased ranges, and I tested it and found this myself as well. If you're at like medium to long range, it's for some reason the perk does not trigger when you get the criticals. So I don't know if that's intended. Doesn't seem to be, but you're kind of going to be, short to medium range for the perk to work properly. But when it does, it's pretty cool because that DOT to an individual or multiple targets is great because it kind of stuns and slows them down. Mm-hmm. So if you're dealing with a lot of enemies, and one thing I was doing is there's a triumph for each of the exotic weapons with Black Armory. There's a triumph for getting 500 kills with that item in a certain forge. So the Gofanon forge is get 500 Limonarch kills. So I was grinding something else, like some frames or something. I was like, all right, I'll use this for several forge runs. And it was really fun shooting all those splody, what are they called? God, now I can't remember their names. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. They know what you're talking about.
the little flying robots, the robots.
Yes.
Those are great. Like shooting those with the bow, because you can one-shot most of them unless they're orange bars. And then putting the DOT into the servitors and stuff. Like it's actually pretty good for that particular forge. So I had fun with it, man. Yeah, that's something I would grind because like that bow is the best bow. I mean, I think it's the best bow in the game. Like
I want it. Plus, I'm not sure. I love bows. First off, I've been playing other random loadouts in Crucible. I haven't gotten back to my bows, but I love the bows, dude. But that thing, I don't know. It seems like you can't do it with Trinity Ghoul or other bows. The thing that I've seen right now is like if you throw down a rift or any sort of damage buffing ability, like the Dawn Blade, the Well of Radiance, or even a Rift, I think, and the Titan has something. I'm trying to think of what it is. You can actually one-shot, headshot Guardians in the Crucible.
Yeah.
If you're standing in that stuff. So that's
cool.
like, that's pretty awesome. I love that. So anyways, yeah, I'm hoping. I've ran plenty of Forge runs at this point, man. I'm hoping to get that thing soon for sure. I forget, like, it's one of those things I forget that it's a possibility because I go in there with frames quite a bit, and it's just going to surprise me, hopefully, here soon.
Yeah, you'll just get it to drop at some point, And it may, for me, like, I get the love for bows, but as much PvE and stuff as I play, like, the archetype just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's a cool idea, right?
They seem like they need to be really powerful to be considered an option in PvE.
Yeah, to me, it's either got to be extremely powerful or have like virtually no draw time. Because in situations where I have a lot of ads to clear or a single target I need to clear, it's just not optimal. Like it takes too long and it puts you at a disadvantage. And so you either have to have 0 draw time or it's got to do something helpful. And that this particular exotic has the utility enough that it makes it useful, like that I actually enjoy playing with it. And I don't mind the draw time because the payoff of the perk is there. Right. And so I really enjoy it. And I think it kind of proves what that archetype can do. But it makes me sad for lesser bows.
Yeah. I know, because Trinity Ghoul is pretty promising.
Trinity Ghoul is cool. I played around with that some,
I still don't have it either. Yeah.
It's something that I feel like I'd have to put more time into master, but it does some cool stuff.
Again, it does some really cool stuff in PvP. But you'd think with the exotic perk, like that chain of damage and stuff, it would be viable in PvE. But it's just, again, it's the bows. They seem like they've got to be really, really potent. I mean, you're rocking, which this is kind of an unfair comparison, but running the AER0KNIGHT shoddy, like that thing is like even nerfed with trench barrel. It's still like the number one. It's amazing, dude.
Now,
like you don't want to run anything else.
Dude, I'm going to tell you, I've said bye-bye to my AER0KNIGHT because I forgot. I almost forgot about this, is that I did get the threat level.
Oh, I knew you were going to say it, dude.
And I got it.
That's like kinetic AER0KNIGHT.
Yeah, it didn't drop with a perfect roll, but I did get the trench barrel on it. I don't remember the other perk. For some reason, my dim is not working to let me inspect these items, but that was good enough because this thing feels great. Like, I don't know the exact numbers, but it seems like it does more damage than the AER0KNIGHT, and it's, in that kinetic slot. So it opens up a lot more possibilities for other stuff.
That's awesome, dude. I feel like it looks so like sleek and trim, like those forged weapons. And it looks awesome, but it reminds me of like what I would want a PvP shotgun to look like. Something about like the appeal to the AER0KNIGHT is like it's this bulky big shotgun and you just feel like it should just destroy bosses in PvE. With the gun model of the threat level, like do you still feel like we're talking just completely the look of it right now. It doesn't really matter if it puts out the numbers, it puts out the numbers. But like, does it look cool on your character? Like when you use it, does it feel as cool as AER0KNIGHT shoddy? Okay.
Oh, it sounds and feels even better than the AER0KNIGHT. The thing that with AER0KNIGHT is like when I shoot AER0KNIGHT, it has a cool sound effect, but it kind of feels like a Nerf gun. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When I
can't be as bad as
when I shoot threat level, I feel like I'm shooting a shotgun. Like it's like boom, like you know what I mean. I don't know, but
I get it.
It's awesome. It feels great. We talk a lot about like how weapons sound and feel can just impact totally what you perceive about it. So it may just feel more powerful, but but I like it a lot. Right. So that's opened up some different options as far as build because I've just had that AER0KNIGHT in my energy slot for so long. So I can play around with other stuff and do some cool things. So I've been playing with that a good bit. And, so that was that. That has been my good drop from the raid that I was pretty happy about. I almost forgot about that one. So I've got a couple cool guns and I finished Breakneck a week or two ago. Cool. And man, this gun is so much fun.
It's unreal, dude.
Oh my gosh. It's so awesome. And what I wanted to mention this week is like just these different guns that I've picked up, like Breakneck and Threat Level and the different forged weapons and Limb Monarch, and all these different guns have really made the game a lot more fun, because after you kind of get everything cool out of the expansion, you're just kind of playing with the same stuff. You kind of get into a rut where you're just running the same loadouts. And even this small pool of weapons that are well made just totally can change up how you're playing and make the same content a lot of fun, because you have these, like, they've introduced all these new combinations of perks and the mods that you can add on to guns to make them more powerful. And I've mentioned before, but they really are leaning into like just making things in the game more powerful and more fun. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these guns, like, there's a noticeable difference when I go run the same content, like running some of those Dreaming City story missions or doing certain public events. And I have like machine guns totally change the game for me. What you can do as far as on your own, like if you're just playing by yourself, the amount of DPS or ad control that you can do just running a machine gun totally changes everything. Mm-hmm. And so between like the ability to run machine guns and these new weapons and guns like Breakneck, like, adds so much utility to what you can do and how you want to approach different scenarios in the game. It really keeps me interested. Like little things like that make a big difference. And so I'm really happy with, what they've introduced. And I think, not every weapon that they've thrown out, I know that people aren't too pleased with the fusion. They're not too pleased with Mountaintop. Those seem to maybe be misses, but there's a lot of other great stuff that they put together. And it's really like kept me engaged in some of that content that even is kind of old. I won't say it's stale, but I've done it a lot, but I'm still having fun because I have new ways to play it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I'm enjoying it, dude. There's just a continuation of things to chase, man. Like I was wondering how much getting those rolls right off the bat were gonna affect my drive to grind, but there's always still something, man. Like I'm chasing the hand cannon. There's always another roll that I wouldn't mind trying out, or that I see somebody else using, or all that stuff. And that's what's great about having the rolls and all that good stuff back. So, and that's what's neat about the forges is it's kind of like a It's not. I was talking about to a Dirt fan member about that. It's not like a direct reroll. Just stand there and reroll, but it does have an element of like play the game and you can reroll your weapon kind of feel to it.
Right.
So, anyways, I guess with that, dude. Unless you want to talk about some more reset stuff you did, it would be fun to chat about the forges for a minute, because I don't think either one of us had access to Izanami the last time we chatted.
No, I was working on it, and man,
Same.
that Izanami quest.
Dude, that's one thing I thought we might start there. That quest
so long.
It is so long. And there's a lot of Guardians out there that are like saying, okay, this is just like making us play the game with nothing new before we get to something new. And honestly, I didn't feel that way until I got to that Izanami quest.
Yeah.
And it's not even so much that I felt totally like that, because I soloed it, and that Nightfall-esque giant scion strike, dude, I didn't even realize, like, going into that I was gonna wipe back to orbit if I didn't beat it. And I was playing kind of dangerous. Yeah, dude. So I went back to orbit like halfway through it. So I gotta say, like, I beat it on my second solo try. I think I was
good, man. Good
probably at like 640 or something. But I played a lot more careful. It reminded me of when we got Heroic Adventures back in Curse of Osiris. Mm-hmm. Like, that to me, I'm fine with. Like, that was challenging. It was fun. It was a strike I hadn't played in a long time. I think it might have been a PlayStation exclusive. I think I'd been reminded of. Yeah.
Year one.
But I like that part of it. It's this kind of fetch quest to go.
It's just errands. You're running errands. You're like, okay, now get this kind of kill on these kind of enemies here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
all of them were a huge pain in the butt. It's like, get pulse rifle multi-kills on Fallen. And you're like, really? Like,
yeah.
Geez. And you're just running around an area, like trying to get the right combination of these Fallen in the right spot. It's maddening. Like, the highlight of each of these forges is kind of in the middle or somewhere. There was almost like a micro mission. They felt like missions without dialogue.
Right.
You know, like it was like, okay, you launch the mission or the activity and you go and you do something. It was like a new area or it was like populated differently and you're doing a certain thing. And those were really cool, I thought. And you can tell they put work and time into that stuff. But then in between it all, it was like, all right, now let's just put some filler in there. You know, let's put a bunch of work in so it feels like it's fleshed out. And I don't know if you can call it anything else.
The return trips to Ada, that's been kind of an ongoing conversation
man.
too. Yeah.
Like, do we not have space radios?
Yeah, it's, you know, and it's weird because especially after diving, just like in the last couple of days, I've read all the Black Armory papers, and there is actually, I kind of want to, believe it or not, I'm at least going back and watching the footage, but I wouldn't mind playing through that again on my other characters because there is lore elements that I missed in those quests. Even like when you go talk to Spider on, I think, Gofanon. And then Mylan taught me just recently, I watched one of his videos. Gofanon actually has lore that you really need to do it first. It starts the story of the raid. Like when you do the Gofanon quest.
It's very easy to miss how Gofanon ties into the raid, and who you're even fighting in the raid is very hard to catch. Like, there's not a very cohesive theme. But it's there. Like, if you look for it, you know?
There's more value there that I probably now, if I played it again after reading the papers, granted the papers are in game now, you know, you do have to unlock them. So, and that's just RNG. So, you know, I did hit up Ishtar because I only have a couple of them, but there's definitely more value in those quests if you're interested in the lore. But yeah, those like just go kill this wet thing this many times this way or with this weapon, those in between. And then I think what added to it as well is the frames. Like, I honestly, after farming several frames, after you do it initially on a frame, that one's rough because you have to do like 3 or 4 steps. It's not so much that it's rough. It's just, again, it's like kind of like those fetch quests. I get what you're doing. You're using that type of weapon to charge, you know, do this thing with the frame.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old gunsmith stuff.
Right, yeah.
You know,
the initial one, though, has like 4 or 5 steps. It's not too bad when you then just have to use the blue match to get it again, because you have to do like 2 or 3 of the steps, and they're real easy to do.
You don't have to do as much as the first one?
No, you don't as much as the first one. The second one, you have to get the precision kills, the multi-kills, and then you just get the... So maybe it's 3 of the 5 that you have to do. I could be wrong on my numbers, but it's not hard because I go to Nessus, I shoot some things for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then I go do a public event, one public event, and I have all those mats to finish the final kill powerful enemies or whatever. Yeah. But then you got to go back to Ada, and they know about that too. They've addressed it on their feedback forums and stuff. Like, they're looking into not having to go back to Ada, because that part, I think, is what adds to the tediousness of how Guardians are feeling when they're playing the Black Armory stuff.
There's an interesting lore reason why you're going to Ada before you go to the Forges, because and I might be totally, I don't know if I totally understand this, but she has some kind of built-in technology in her that enables her to do things to the weapons. And to build the weapons. And I think that they possibly took part of it out of her and hid it somewhere. And that's what's going to come into play with the Niobe Labs thing. But I know that she has like some kind of built-in capability.
Is that like the what they mentioned in the papers of like the accelerator or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, dude. And that's why they
took that out of her.
Yeah.
Because they were pursued by this I forget what they call them before they were Guardians. The
Risen.
The Risen. She was being pursued by a Risen who wanted either her to make something for him or to give her that technology or something. And I think they took it out of her and they hid it. And I don't know. We're going to find out how this story unfolds, but I'm getting, like, after I read all the papers, like, I kind of get why you're going to her before you put the guns in the forge. But it's a lot of back and forth. Like,
yeah, it's
I have never,
balance
between the
of
dawning
story with
and
playing,
the forges, I have never flown back and forth to so many destinations, and I'm just sitting there like twiddling my thumbs, playing
If you
Diablo
could,
3
like,
while I'm waiting.
dude, yeah, on your Switch. If you could chart, like, it would make sense to me. Obviously, you go get the frame from her. I'm totally fine with doing a few steps to charge that frame, or, you know, whatever we're doing. And then if you could just, because I'm on Nessus already doing that. I get there's story and lore there, but there's also a balance to how it feels to actually play
needs
it,
to make
right?
sense.
If you could just run right to the forge, I think it would alleviate, you know, a lot of the Guardians' feelings with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. Overall, the concept of the forges, I think if they are, and we've kind of talked about this, I've always wanted a wave-based horde mode or something that continues through DLC. It seems as though that's what they've done here in a Bungie kind of way. The forges, they can drop anywhere at any points with new expansions or new content and say, here's another forge, here's some new weapons. There's a secret exotic in there as well. The only thing is, I feel like, you know, ultimately right now we've got 3 forges. They're fun, but we're throwing balls at a forge and we're charging it to create our weapon. You know, that there, at some point there would probably need to be another mechanic or something else incorporated so it doesn't get stale. But like overall, I love what they're doing with them, and I love, of course, the weapons that we're getting from them are potent. And another layer of it, man, it really, just like anything else with Destiny, and I've always wanted to, and I have at different periods, but I've really been diving into the lore, and I'm going to continue to do so. Knowing what happened up to the point of Black Armory, and then like what we're doing in the forges and this or that, like it enriches the play experience so much.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say like it's something that it should be required, like to go do that research yourself. I get it. I get a lot of it should be in the game. It is. You can go read it, you know, and you do get some of it in actual interaction with Ada and stuff like that. But if you want to enrich it, the play experience for yourself anymore, go read on Ishtar, those papers and stuff, man. Because now, like when I go in the forge, like I know what we're doing. I know what's happened in the past. I went back. I've been talking to Anon Pig, which we've mentioned before in our lore channel, and I went back and watched a cutscene, like the first cutscene with her after reading the papers. And dude, like I was almost got chills. I'm like, holy smokes. Like this is amazing. But I didn't have any of that when I watched it the first time because I didn't read any of that lore yet, you know? So that's Destiny in a nutshell, right? Like if you want to enrich your experience even more, even if you're having fun like I am, even not reading it, go read the lore because it's unreal, dude. Like it's cool. It's cool to know what's happened behind the scenes, right? Or leading up to a certain event or a point. Like you just mentioned with Ada, she has that I forget what it's called. It's something accelerator.
Some kind of accelerator
that makes her be able to create. I mean, what they did, and you said you've been reading it too, like they made these forges, and then they also incorporated exo technology to almost make like walking forges. Yeah. And that's what she was or is or still capable of doing. So it makes sense what you said. I didn't even consider that. That's what's fun talking about the lore. Like you're taking that frame back to her to make this powerful weapon. Yeah. But when you're playing the game and you just want to go in the forge and you go back, have to go back to the tower. Yeah, just let me jump in the forge.
Stop making me run through this maze to get through the annex and you know.
Yeah. And you know, maybe they could do something a little more creative with some of those little things in between, like we talked about, like get precision kills. I don't know what you do. I mean, it's a MMO-ish game. Like I remember playing WoW way after it was like, you know, it had been around forever. I just decided I wanted to play WoW for a little while. And like I would go around and just like farm stuff, you know, like early on at like level 30.
Like doing that with the weapons doesn't bother me as much as the individual forge quests have. And then on top of that, the fact that if you want to do this on your other characters, you got to do all that again.
Oh, I know, dude.
I haven't even started that, dude. No, I'm not going I'm not.
There's
gonna
a
touch
balance
it.
there. There really is a balance there, right?
Yeah.
That you shouldn't. It's almost like playing through the D2, that old conversation, having to play through the D2 campaign all the way through it, to get your other characters up to the point to where you can go and just grind them and play them as well. So yeah, there's definitely an element there as well. So I don't know, man. I think part of the Forge Quest thing too is you're having to do all this stuff before you get to go do the new thing. Yeah. And that's what makes it kind of painful, right? Like, you just want to do the new thing. It's almost like there's not a storyline. So there's no, like, with a conventional expansion, you're following a storyline, things are happening, right? There's events taking place, you're going through different battles, it's fun. But for this, like, they're trying to tell a story through it, but you're just grinding, and there's no like direct like storyline you're attached to. It's not like you can just go spend a couple hours, do the storyline, and then everything's open for you, right? Right.
You're like chipping away, having to do grind week after week to get this stuff open. It just seems like a lot of work.
Well, plus it makes people wonder, like I've thought myself, like, I wonder what we're going to have to do to get to Niobe Labs. And there's another Forge out there too, isn't there? That's not on the roadmap.
Rumor.
Yeah, that's the rumor. Sorry, no confirmation. That's the rumor. But it's like, then the other thing is, and you do have to go do it on your own, or dig into the triumphs or, your whatever. But like knowing, and spoiler alert, if you want to go read the lore on your own, like Niobe Labs is where Ada was created, right?
Right. Well, so that's where the technology came from.
Sorry, the technology, right? Yeah. Well, she was reborn again. Is it not confirmed that it was there? Because I thought that's where they created her.
I think that from what I was reading, it seemed like they basically they just did it out in the field, like somewhere wherever they were. I'm not sure if it straight out said that they were in Niobe Labs, but the technology, the exo technology, is from Niobe Labs.
Yeah. So she basically
she's not the same type of she's not from Clovis Bray like most exos are. And it's really interesting if you're interested in the exo lore because she's never been rebooted.
Yes.
And there's these theories about exos that the whole the end game, like the lore so far, the lore explanation for why exos have to be rebooted is because they have this almost like this rejection from their body that happens. And so that's why exos have to eat and drink and breathe and everything else so that their brain accepts their mechanical body, but it can reject that. And so they have to reboot their system and they lose all their memories when this happens. That's kind of the surface level explanation for it. But the theory based on other things in the lore is that that was actually a convenient way for Clovis Bray to wipe their soldiers, because a lot of these exos were soldiers, or they were people that were trying to live forever. Of course, that's what you would expect. But a lot of them were like, for instance, Cade seems to be, he became an exo for the purpose of wiping out a bunch of debt. Like they're like, if you work for us and become an exo, we'll wipe out all your debts. And he mentions that he has been wiped before after missions, and there's things he knows he doesn't remember. And so the theory is that it, and what makes sense to me is they incorporated this in their programming where they'll kind of break down over time and they have to be rebooted, and it's a convenient way for them to wipe things that happen, right?
It's almost like, because I actually in the last week or two stumbled across that Cade lore as well. It's almost like Men in Black. He hints
he's
that
right?
He knows some things, and if he says too much, he's flirting with being reset again.
But then you look at Ada, and she's an exo, similar technology, but not created by Clovis Bray, and she's never been rebooted. And she's hundreds of years old. She's been around since the collapse. Since before the collapse, actually. She well, I guess technically she was born like right after, like during the collapse, basically, because
it's
she
so
was
weird.
wounded by some kind of tree monster or something.
Yeah.
You gotta read the lore.
Yeah, dude, it's so good too. Like, I've read so much of this Black Armory lore, and you guys really need to read it, because you learn,
It's a cool story.
like what happened to her, how she became an exo. You learn about her mom. You learn about her mom's, the families,
the rest of the founders,
the three the three families that founded this forge technology and all that. And actually, Helga, one of them, she actually used to work for Clovis Bray. So there's that little gray area.
Yep.
It's so interesting, man. We could talk about this forever, but long story short, knowing all that now, it really, like, it makes even just running the forges that much more fun, because you know all this stuff about them and the characters that are involved with them and the history, and that's just part of it. That's like with anything. And if you don't have that, it's still fun. I was still having fun before that, but man, it really does enrich the play experience, just like it always has with Destiny. So
yeah,
anyways,
definitely.
Yeah,
well,
there's still the whole fetch
I think
quest
so
thing.
far, like, I think the this content, like this season's content's been really cool. I can't wait to see how the next month or so unfolds. I'm really interested how they're going to tie in the stuff with the last word and where that's going to go, and just what else we got. I mean, January should be a pretty fun month. So,
oh yeah, dude. And then next season we got Drifter. There's going to be all kinds of lore there. Speculation that we might see.
I heard
apparently
again. It's out there that some of the Drifter lore is in the database and was data mined.
Yeah, I haven't dove into the Drifter stuff much yet.
Yeah, I really would like to wait until that content releases to read all that stuff. But if you just can't wait and you're interested, like, there is some stuff in the database that you can go find.
Yeah. Dude, the other thing I wanted to mention too that I realized this week, it's easy to take for granted, even myself, talking about all this lore stuff. I watched some footage on Anthem, and the game looks amazing, dude, and I probably will try it. Like, it looks beautiful. But I'm like looking at the enemies, and I'm sure there's story and lore there and all that. I'm not saying there isn't, but I see the enemies and I see this and I see that, and you really take for granted in Destiny, dude. Like, when I won't assume everyone does, but just playing the game, like when we get the forges and when we get A1, it's almost easy to take for granted, like, how much time they put in. Like, as a Guardian, as a player of this game, there's going to be story and lore there, because that's what they've done for us in the past, and that's what they continue to do. And it's easy to take that for granted, like, all that, story and lore element that's there that we know we're going to get, right? A lot of games, they don't dive into it that much. Some games do, some games don't. And it's cool to have that aspect in Destiny. I think I've said it before, like, even if you don't just dive into the lore 24/7, it's just not your thing. Still, even that Guardian, it's cool to know it's there, right? Like, if you wanted to, you could go dabble in it and learn about the game, the game that you enjoy so much. And it's, I don't know, it's just a thought I had this week. It's cool to have that in this game, right? Like, we're still having fun just playing the game. It's a grindy game. It's a looter shooter, but it's cool to have that. And I know you read the Book of Sorrow, like, through and through, didn't you?
I've read everything in the game.
Yeah, dude. And it's you love it, right? Like, it's your favorite game. And then
it makes everything just in the game better and mean more and be vastly more interesting.
And I can't wait to, I've always, like I said, dabbled in it here and there. I love knowing it's there. I've really jumped in with Black Armory, dude, and it's just like ignited this even more of a passion to get into the lore. And we've always talked about wanting a novel in Destiny, and it's almost I never really considered it this way.
Just write a freaking novel.
Dude, wouldn't it be amazing?
Destiny.
I've never really thought about it this way, though, dude, but our favorite game that we talk about every week, there really is like this continuous novel / story that is going on. It would just be really cool to like have a cool side story in novel form as well.
Yeah.
But dude, there's so much out there, man. Like, there's it's endless. I have probably read and listened to the Black Armory story like 5 or 6 different ways at this point, either reading it myself or watching content creators, and it's just cool to learn about it and take it all in, and it's fun, man. It's cool. So I don't know. Maybe I feel like we might have motivated a few Guardians this reset to go read some Black Armory papers.
Yeah.
I guess we could tell them where you do all of that. The most part is Ishtar Collective. I'm assuming that's where you go as well.
Yeah, that's their website. Place to go. Go to Ishtar Collective, and they have things organized by books and topics and different stuff like that. Any way you want, just go look for the books. That's the easiest place to start, and just start reading through those.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention before we wrap up the reset, I met 2 new friends last week. When we were talking about the Izanami Forge, I had gotten to that strike, and I was playing it, and twice I accidentally jumped in a hole and killed myself. I was like, all right, I can't do this by myself. Like, I don't really want to. So nobody was on, so I just jumped on Xbox LFG, and I grouped up with a couple players, and we played, and we did the whole thing through together. We finished the whole quest to unlock it, got our frames, went together and did all the frames, and did the whole kit and caboodle over like a couple hours. And I just wanted to give a shout out to them. They were really nice.
And very cool.
Awesome
That's always
players.
fun.
And I love when I get to it's awesome when you meet like totally new people, random people, and they're fun and nice, and you have a great time. Yeah. Because like we were laughing, and one of my friends was in the party with me, being kind of dumb, but we were laughing because the normal LFG etiquette is like, as soon as it's done, you just don't say anything and leave. Like, it's usually so awkward because you don't know the people. Sometimes they don't talk to you, or they're obnoxious. Like, you never know what you're getting. And so we were just kind of making fun of that. And it was fun to meet, nice people and have good conversations and laugh together and make jokes and just hit it off. And so that was there's just a lot of cool people in the Destiny community. And I love when I get to meet new people, make new friends,
No doubt. I've mentioned before too, man, I use the Fire Team tab on the Destiny app itself.
Yeah, you've told me about that.
Dude, yeah, I play a lot solo, and I play late at night, and I just jump on and I try to knock stuff out. Like I said, Wayfarer, the Forges, whatever. And a lot of those people that are on there, the things you're doing, you don't really need to be on mic or anything if you just want to run a Nightfall real quick. So like you players out there, I do this regularly. Like if you just need to run something and the Derp fam, you can't find anybody, or the community that you're in, or you can't chat for that particular moment. I run a lot of stuff through that Fire Team tab on the Destiny companion app. I search myself, or I'll post something and I'll say Nightfall, and there's a little checkbox where you can say, something like you don't need a mic or something, and people just join you. You go do the thing. Everybody knows what they need to do, and then you leave. I even did it with farming the Osprey on for the Wayfarer Braytech Nightfall. Everybody knew what they needed to do, so you just join. We farmed it like 5 times, and then when someone leaves, you're just like, okay, they need to go. So just throwing it out there, even if chatting is something for you that you can't do a lot, or is a barrier for you, it's not always required. So, you can take advantage of that stuff for sure. Now, obviously, if you're LFGing a raid, that's not really going to work. But if you're just like doing some milestones or running a Nightfall or something like that, it's more than feasible. So I do that, and it works great. So
yeah.
Just a little info. Cool stuff.
All right, man. Well, why don't we do some Dirt Fam discourse before we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's do it, man. What do we got?
We got a message from my buddy and one of our ambassadors, Darth Digits. He's a clan leader / clan ambassador, I think is what they're called.
Clan ambassadors, what they tagged it.
He asked, now the dawning's over, what are you guys' thoughts on the crafting system and introduced for the baking aspect? I think that it laid a great foundation for potentially adding a similar crafting system into the game proper, and that adding something like this, if adapted well, could add a lot to the game.
I didn't even consider that, like in the base game, if you will. Like, obviously, it's been mentioned many times, a crafting system. Right off the bat, reading this, I don't know. I'm sure there's many Guardians already come up with ideas out there, like where you would implement it. But I could totally get down on some sort of crafting system like this. I enjoyed it in the Dawning. Obviously, it was kind of more, cheeky fun. We're baking cookies, stuff like that. But Darth, I mean, he's hinting at like a full-blown crafting system, right?
I think this could be like a really cool way for them to do some things, maybe with some cosmetic items, like maybe a build your own sparrow, build your own ship, where there's like 5 iterations of an item, and through an event or through a season, you have to find certain materials, or grind out like a rare material, or maybe an exotic material would give you access to this one cool frame or something like that. Like, I think that they could implement something like that, that would do some cool stuff. Like, people have asked for crafting for some reason in Destiny for a long time,
Yeah. If you're not careful, you'll end up doing what I said I did in WoW. And I wasn't knocking WoW at all. There's obviously way more to WoW than that, but running around a patrol zone looking for such and such in circles trying to craft something. But there's an element to that that's always fun, right? It's fun to build and craft something to apply to your character or your gear. And I think, Darth's definitely right. Like, what they did with the Dawning was cool. It was neat to have this mechanism that you used materials to craft things. And sure, it could be implemented a certain way in the base game, the core game, I guess you could say. And it would be fun. It would be cool. Definitely. Like maybe a particular gear set and weapons set with each season that you can create with this crafting system, if you will. I don't know. Bungie's they're the developers. They can figure that part out.
Yeah. Anytime we see something new, we always are like, all right, what's the experiment here?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I'd like to see some cool stuff in the future like that. I think it'd be fun, even if it was simple. Any fun thing that adds an extra layer to the game is great.
Yeah, I'm still kind of in that zone right now, man. Like, I know I've seen some feedback and some coverage of like people getting to that point where they feel like there's nothing to do. I'm trying to see that point of view, and it could just be difference in play time, doing it almost full time versus the time that we play every week. I could see it if you played the game every day for many hours, but like right now, man, even getting some solid rolls on the forges and stuff, like I don't know, I still have so much on my to-do list, dude. Like it's there's a lot to do in this game right now. So looking forward to what's coming, and the real test is going to be, at least for this season, we'll see what we feel like after, I guess, after Crimson Days drops, because we'll have 20-something days before the Last Word quest starts, I think. So that could possibly, we'll see what Crimson Days is, that could possibly feel like maybe a drought to some, but way less of a drought than we used to have. You kind of had mentioned that earlier in the show, way back in the day, dude, when not only was it many would call it a drought in the game in Destiny 1, but we also had no idea what was coming. There was no roadmap or nothing, dude. Not a thing.
Yeah.
Those are the old days.
It's a lot better than that.
Yes.
Well, if you've got
totally
some Dirt Fam discourse, you can email us, destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com, or so you can send us a speakpipe, speakpipe.com/destinyreset, and we'll read it here or play it here on the show. Talk about it.
Yeah. Send us anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be just what we cover in the discourse, too. I mean, we talked about the Dawning. We talked about the Forges. We know you guys are playing and have thoughts on this stuff, so don't hesitate to send it our way.
Absolutely. Well, this is the time in the show where we recognize our patrons. We've got a couple new patrons, Gumbo OG and One Stabby. Thanks for your support. And I think, we still have some more that we need their gamer tags?
We do. We've got a handful of Guardians out there. We've messaged them a few times. They'll get it at some point. Go check your Patreon messages, guys. We want to give you a shout out.
Please. If you don't know what a patron is, go to patreon.com/destinyreset, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of our show. You get a few rewards. You get a shout out on the podcast. You get your gamer tag on our website, and an invitation to a Discord channel just for Dirt Fan patrons and supporters.
Yes. Thank you.
As
all
always,
so
thank
much.
you to everyone that is a patron and supports us every single month. We appreciate you.
Very much so. Thank you, Guardians.
All right, man. I guess this is the time in the show where you tell people where they can find you.
Yes. You can find me mainly on Twitter and YouTube. I've got some new YouTube vids in the works with the new year. Kind of took a little break over the holidays, but you can find me on those and all the other social medias at AER0KNIGHT with a 0. What about you, man?
You can find me at CyborgSasquatch on Twitter and Mixer. And finally, you can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter, and then www.destinyresetpodcast.com, your source for all things DRP, including links to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app of choice. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, thanks for your review. I know we've got a new one that wasn't written, but it did leave 5 stars, so we appreciate that.
Thank you, Guardian.
Yeah. If you're listening, please go leave us a review if you're on Apple Podcasts. It helps us get seen and heard by more Destiny players.
Man, I feel like we've gotten a lot of reviews over the last month or so. I feel like we've got a lot of new listeners, new Guardians, not necessarily new Guardians, but new to Destiny Reset and the Derp fam. So welcome to all of you new listeners. We're glad to have you. We appreciate you tuning in. Everybody, thank you so much. New year, man.
Yep.
We're going to hit 200 this year.
Absolutely.
Well, great show, man. I can't wait. Next week we'll have a TWAB and some other things that we'll have launched, I believe.
It'll be a fun week next week. Can't wait.
Record again. Yeah, plenty of news. The opposite of this week. So can't wait, man. I guess until next reset, dude. Right?
Yep.
Until next reset, have fun playing Destiny 2. And take care, Guardians.